Hello everyone, today's June 22nd, 2010. I wanted to talk about Bernanke today. On June 9th, in front of Congress, Bernanke admitted that he doesn't fully understand the movements in gold. Now, that's understandable if he's looking at gold as just another commodity, like copper, which is down 17%. Gold's up 30%. And so if he's looking at it as another commodity, well then yeah, he might be a little confused as to the movements. But what he fails to understand, or maybe he does understand, I can't imagine he doesn't understand it, but he said he said that he doesn't fully understand the movements. Well, it's because it's money. It's real money. Been real money for thousands of years. I mean, I'm going to talk about some of the biggest buyers of gold in the past year and a half, and they understand what's going on. Gold's revaluing itself to all the paper money that's been printed over all these years, over the last 100 years. The whole paper monopoly scam that's been going on is finally coming to an end, and people are going to start requesting something with intrinsic value, something real. Someone maybe should remind Mr. Bernanke that 150 years ago you could buy a brand new Colt revolver, and then that same 1 ounce coin, which is worth $1,250 now, will also buy you a brand new Colt revolver. So gold's maintained its value over time, but its value is increasing. It seems like it's increasing in terms of dollars because the dollar is falling, but gold is simply maintaining its value that it's had, that kings and queens used to preserve their wealth thousands of years ago. I mean, this is, the other countries that are buying gold right now, they're just doing what comes natural when the paper money starts to collapse, which it has thousands of times throughout history. When the paper money has totally got out of control, people revert back to real money, which is gold. And silver, which silver is a different subject. I mean, it's treated as a commodity. I think if we have an ultimate collapse of the paper currencies around the world, then silver will once again reclaim its monetary value. People will accept silver as real money because actually silver's been used more than gold throughout time as money. At this point, I can't decide whether I'm more frightened about the investors around the world that are worried about the paper currencies that are fleeing to gold, or our own the chairman of the Federal Reserve, who doesn't quite understand what's going on, seems to be a little puzzled. It's so while Mr. Bernanke's trying to figure out why gold's going up, hitting all-time highs like on Friday, I'm going to discuss some of the countries that seem to know what's going on, starting with Russia. Russia seems to be tired of the fact the U.S. has a limitless credit card, aka world reserve currency, and they're calling for a new reserve currency. I mean, China's been calling for a new reserve currency. There's been a lot of countries in the past year talking about a new reserve currency. Russia was the biggest purchaser of gold the first quarter of this year. They bought 26 tons. It's about $1.2 billion in value. And according to the World Gold Council, in the last 3 years, they've steadily been buying gold, and they've increased their gold 117 tons. Just in 2009. Now China is more of a stealth buyer. China has $900 billion in reserve, in a US dollar reserve. So they don't want to openly come out and say, hey, we're buying gold. Then they're going to be shooting themselves in the foot because they got so many dollar reserves. But they finally came out in 2003 and said that they had bought 454 tons, raising their total 76% and bringing them up into the top 10 world gold holders. And then just recently, Saudi Arabia, we learned that they have 322 tons. Well, the last time they reported was 143, so they've secretly doubled their gold supply. And then the Philippines this March bought 9.5 tons. And most people have heard that India bought 200 tons from the IMF this past November. So after 2 decades of selling gold, we have all these countries that are become net buyers. Now, all these other countries seem to see what's happening since 1971 when Nixon took us off the gold standard. The whole world's gone paper and credit and computer entries. And, it seems like they're seeing what's going on. It's just too bad that our own chairman of our own Federal Reserve here in the United States doesn't quite seem to understand it. The last thing I want to talk about is the gold bubble. I keep hearing, the gold's in a bubble on television over and over again. How come I never hear stocks are in a bubble or bonds? Anytime the stock market's rushing up, oh, we're in recovery mode. And, all boats are lifted by the raising tide and this and that. But every time gold hits a new high, oh, gold's in a bubble. There's no way that gold could sustain this price. It's definitely in a bubble. Well, I don't see gold being in a bubble. I don't know anyone buying gold. Every time I hear someone talk about gold being in a bubble, I don't know people buying gold. I know like 2 guys. That's it. I know one person buying silver and I know one person buying gold. That's about it. If gold was in a bubble, we'd have these gold vending machines they have in Saudi Arabia. They just came out with the first gold vending machine made by, it's called Gold to Go. We'd have one of those in every single shopping center. There'd be one right over here. I could go run in there and just, buy a 1 ounce coin or buy a 1/10 of an ounce coin for like $140. But nobody's buying gold right now. It's, major countries are because they understand what's happening. The people running these other countries. But the average Joe here in the United States, he has no clue. He doesn't know. He doesn't understand gold. Gold's like a barbaric relic, like John Maynard Keynes said. I think that's probably how Bernanke feels about gold. It's a barbaric relic. So what the heck's it doing going up so much? That's why he's kind of scratching his head. But anyway, I think we're far from a bubble. We're only about half of the inflation-adjusted 1980 high. So that's it for now. See y'all later.